Yeah. So I think, Mikhail, we can start now.
Okay. So good afternoon to all of you. It's a long presentation, but many slides I will just give it as a background knowledge and not, let me say, for big discussions. So first of all, what's missing? The history of PCB. First analysis synthesis in 1800 by German. Okay, sorry for that. At that time, there was no use identified. So that was always a chemist. They were in the lab and they cooked something. And then they looked what they could do with it. But of course, there was nothing. First was reported was in 1929, most probably as hydraulic fluid, because it's not inflammable. The first major production started in 1939 in US for power capacitors and transformers. And after the Second World War, it started more or less in Europe. Okay, first eliminations were in the 70s. No more used in open applications. The ban rice oil scandal in Japan. Then was a stop of production in most of the developed countries between 1978 and 1983. Regulations, guidelines, laws came up, 85 to 90 in the developed countries. European Community banned it in 1996 by law. Means mandatory for member states. The Stockholm Convention, founded in 2001, became convention finally in 2003. And so let's continue. Chemistry, okay, you know that. Major component is 60%. It's not, when we talk about PCB, we talk about 60%. That's more or less the maximum you have. It's always a mixture. It's not pure PCB. When I write down pure PCB, I made it in practice because it's 60%, and we call it usually SCRL. The other components are 3-chlorobenzenes, 30% and 10% additives. The 3-chlorobenzenes, by the way, are responsible for the sweet smell of the SCRL. The number of chlorine determines density and as well the use. The highest chlorine content was used for the liquid for the transformers. So the density is 1.6, that is important later on, and was the highest price as well. Around 30-40% chlorine is in open applications mainly, and 30% is in capacitors and switches. So the trade names, the synonyms, was manufactured and sold under different names, according to the degree of chlorination, type of formulation, other properties, and so on. You've heard Auchlor 1254. In Germany, it was Clofene A60, produced by Bayer. In US, it was Monsanto, and today it's one company, by the way. Okay, that's only a list. A lot of names are similar because mistake in typing and so on. But that maybe has 98% of names. So properties, persistent, you know, POP, persistent, not inflammable, very good, very hydrophobe, very good, high thermal resistance, very good, electrically absolute neutral, very good, but toxic. Where and why was it used? Transformers, capacitors. It was 6 times more expensive, so the transformer was double in price. Where can we find that? The huge power transformers are not filled with SCRL, too expensive. So it was used in auxiliary transformers in power plants and substations. It was used in steel industry, cement, aluminum, paper, glass, and so on and so on. Mining sectors, because if you go down in the mining sector, you need fire-resistant equipment. The same as well refineries, chemical industries. You can find that in hospitals, malls, office buildings, hotels, and so on. Then we have it as well in switches, in bushings of power transformers, rectifiers, earthing reactors, cables as cable blood, paints, caulking, and so on. So that is standing outside storage of transformers somewhere in Europe, yeah, somewhere in Asia, utility sector. These are phased out transformers, not knowing SCRL or oil, is oil with PCB or not with PCB, and so on. Again, in Asia, in Africa, the steel factory, power transformer. These transformers are usually PCB free. And that is life cycle, end of life cycle. That was hit by airstrike, that is from Lebanon. Maybe you have some transformers like that as well in Palestine, because it's always attractive to put pressure on the people by cutting off the electricity. Yeah. So what's wrong with PCB? That's leakage of SCRL transformer. You can see the birds in the SCRL, and this leakage is very, very old. Yeah. So it is, yeah, like a mummy. So I skip that because it takes too long now. Dangers on nature, of course, in soil. We have the danger in water, in the atmosphere, exposure routes to humans, food, and so on. I think we do not need to go into detail here. Yeah, I think you have seen that as already. Health effects, cancer, immune effects, and so on, and so on. So these are things that you can go through it later on, because we want to show you something more. So what to do first to meet the obligation under Stockholm Convention? That is now from a Bahrain presentation, sorry for that. Prohibit the production. Okay, in Palestine was never a production. Prohibit the importation. That means control by custom tariff numbers. Transformers have custom tariff numbers. And I assume you don't have a transformer production in Palestine. So all transformers you need, new transformers you need, they are imported. And there are 3 custom tariff numbers, and you can specify, and you can tell the customs, please, when this custom tariff number comes, ask for PCB-free certificate. Prohibit the exportation except for environmentally sound disposal, and of course, for any analysis. And start with the inventory. Consider the infrastructure for handling, storage, etc. So general considerations with the inventory: PCB in transformers, capacitors, other devices with potential PCB content. Then, of course, semi-closed applications, that is more or less the hydraulic system, something like that. And open applications like paints and corks and so on. So that is what I say always, pure PCB. It's not really pure. And we have the oil transformers with oil, but the oil maybe is contaminated. I will come to that later. Here you see an auxiliary transformer inside a power plant, and that is a PCB transformer, that means 60% PCB, 30% trichlobenzene, 10% additives. And okay, cannot read it because on the extension box there is the name SCRL on it. Okay, oil transformers, we have the cross contamination. That could be at manufacturer sites unintentional. How? Well, if you know how the transformers are produced, the core is built, and the coil goes to the dry oven. The coil is dried so that the water gets out, because water is toxic for the transformer. Then it comes out, it puts on the casing, closed, and the transformer goes to the filling station. It is the same transformer, could be filled with Ascal or with oil. It's just the request of the customer who said, I want to have an Ascal transformer because it's a fire risky place. Yeah, as an example. So they took the Ascal tank, the pump system, and they filled the Ascal into the transformer. The next transformer comes to the filling station, and that is the utility sector, distribution sector, says, Ascal, too expensive. We don't need. We take oil. Now they switch to the oil tank, and now the oil with the same pump system, but in the pump system, we still have half a liter or 1 liter of Ascal, and that goes with the oil in the oil transformer. And this transformer is now highly contaminated. Then we have as well the intentional use that they have identified. If you fill in Ascal in the oil tank, only a few liters, you have no problem with filling the transformer because bubbles are as well very toxic for the transformer. And Ascal drops down the bubble production in oil. Then we have the maintenance centers, similar to the first, unintentional or intentional, topping up the transformer if some oil is missing. And a very seldom case is leakage of high voltage bushings. That is only transformers of maybe 200 MVA or 400 MVA like that. They have huge bushings like 5 meter long, and inside the bushing there's a coolant as well, and they are encapsulated coolant that is Ascal, and sometimes after a certain time they start leaking and it drops into the transformer. And of course, that is something that could be as well a case in Palestine. So going back to the late 70s, early 80s, yeah, sorry to say, some owners of Ascal transformers in the developed countries, they realized PCB is toxic. They trained off the Ascal, sent it to a high temperature incineration, and sent the empty transformers as second-hand transformers to developing countries. And now they are filled with oil. And of course, these transformers are now highly contaminated, maybe 5,000-10,000 ppm. So then we have capacitors, we have tri-type. Usually you can find a hint on the label, no liquid in, no PCB in. But you can have as well PCB filled, sometimes as well PCB impregnated, and 3CD, CPA, A30, CS, and so on are hints of using of Ascal in capacitors. And non-PCB sometimes as well filled with PCB-free coolant is possible as well. So sampling of oil transformers. Before sampling, always go and check the nameplate. Because in 99%, you can find a hint on the nameplate. Yeah. And the Ascal transformer, you must not sample because that is clear. 60% PCB means 600,000 ppm. Yeah. And always the other transformers, the oil transformers, they are, first of all, may be positive. They may contain PCB. That means as a starting point, you consider them as PCB contaminated until the test says no. So the equipment for sampling, so that means we have to protect the people. Goggles and gloves are mandatory. Coveralls and overshoes only in some cases. You see that. Sampling containment, labeled of course. Label for the sample device and a data sheet. Come to that later. Metal tray for underneath the bottom valve. We'll see that. Adsorbent material. She is not inflammable. Sawdust is not an adsorbent material, and sand as well not. A drum for the waste arising from the sampling, and of course tools for opening the bottom valve. So looks like that. You see the gloves. This is simple gloves because it is only for seconds you use it. The metal tray, maybe GPS to identify where the transformer was located. May you measure the length and the height and the width of the transformer possible. So that's the reason for the metal tray. It's like a barbecue tray. You can get that in a normal shop. Yeah. So that is me with a soil sampling. This floor was highly covered with oil, and the soil was contaminated above 50 ppm. So sampling with a label on top. So data sheet for sampling with the name of location, date and name of sampling teams. Inventory number should be unique. Here again, sorry, Bahrain is still in. It should be, it's now Palestine. Sorry for that. And it is like a car plate. Yeah, it should be unique in the country. Power of transformer is good. Upper lower voltage could give a hint what type of transformer it is, but is not mandatory. The manufacturer and serial number is quite important. Total liquid weight is important. Condition, of course. You are sitting in the office. You know the data of the transformer, but you do not need the condition of the transformer. Is a transformer leaking? Is there corrosion? That is now what the samplers can look for and identify whether it is in good condition or bad condition. The neighborhood is important because that is a risk assessment. And of course, the placement. Is it a pole-mounted transformer? Is it open air on the ground, or it's in a building? It's just an example of a data sheet. Yeah. So labeling system, you need the inventory number on the data sheet, the same inventory number and a sticker of a sample bottle, and the same sticker for posting on the transformer. Why? You know, the samplers are not stupid. They are maybe low level, but they are not stupid. They go to one transformer and fill 10 bottles. And then they go back and they have a nice time, a nice day. No, to ensure that they go to each transformer, they must put a sticker with the inventory number on the transformer. So they are forced to go to each transformer and to take a sample. So safety first, in Arabic as well. So safety with sampling, I prefer electricians to take their samples because they know what they can do if the transformer is in operation. Yeah. Otherwise, you need too many people. One touch is the last touch, maybe. Always as a team of minimum of 2 people, and always consider as well
Mikhail, I think your video is dead. I think Mikhail has lost his connection, I guess.
I will try to give him a telephone call.
Yeah, please.
But But we still see his slide, right? No.
No, it was also gone.
Okay. Yeah, he's back.
Okay. I'm sorry, I do not know where was the mistake.
So can you please share the screen once more?
Do we have this? Yeah. You have it? You have it?
Sorry. Yeah, I have it, but I have to 1 minute. If you have it, you share, please. Otherwise, I have to download from my mail.
No.
We didn't
Michael,
have it.
Michael, you need to share again, so we still see your camera.
Okay. Where can I do that?
At the bottom. Unten ist doch dieser grüne Knopf da. Wenn du drauf fährst, unten ans Bild, da steht dann Bildschirm freigeben. Fahr mal mit dem Cursor auf dein Ding drauf. Unten steht Bildschirm freigeben.
Was ist da? I have not.
Du hast Zoom-Meeting vor dir, oder?
Ich hab's, ja.
Okay. Und Bildschirm freigeben, hast du es schon gedrückt?
Nein.
Mach das mal.
Ist das jetzt?
Nee, noch nicht.
Noch nicht. Jetzt habe ich ganz. Oh, jetzt ist was ganz Verrücktes passiert. Jetzt muss ich mal gucken.
Versuch nochmal.
Ja. So. Was ist da passiert? Wieder da?
Nee, noch nicht. Hast du Bildschirm freigeben gedrückt?
That's right. I do not know what is wrong now.
Du hast Bildschirm freigeben gedrückt, oder?
Wo steht denn das? Wo ist denn das? Das habe ich nicht.
Du musst auf das Zoom-Meeting drauf mit deinem Cursor.
Ja.
Und dann siehst du ja unten, siehst doch deine Mikro, dann kommt das Video, dann kommt Teilnehmer und dann kommt Bildschirm freigeben, so ein grünes Ding mit einem Pfeil.
Habe ich nicht.
Habe
ich nicht.
Yasser, does Michael have, did you give him the right to share his screen? You know, sometimes people in the Zoom meeting might not have the.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think I will share from my side.
Okay,
I'm just downloading the file. 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a little bit surprised about it.
No, I think you need to get the permission to share from
Yasser.
From Yasser, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but if Yasser has the file and if you can start it now, then it's also okay.
Yeah. It's not a problem. What was the last slide?
That was the last slide. Yeah, okay.
The oil analysis methods,
This is slide number
49.
49.
48, sorry, 48.
48. Yeah.
Sorry for that. Suddenly it was disconnected. Was it working?
Yep.
Is it visible?
What was the last slide?
I think this one, I guess.
This one, okay.
Yeah.
So
Please go ahead.
just take the next. You scroll it?
Yeah, 1 minute. I'm just making the full screen.
Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a labeling system. We have to re-identify always the transformers. So we need a unique labeling system. And that means the inventory number system, like you have the name, the car plates as well. Yeah, the car plates as well in a country should be unique. Yeah, one in the front and one in the back, no more. The same we need for the transformers. One on the transformer, one on the sample, and the third one on the data sheet. And finally, we have to put that on the in the database, what I recommend. Okay, safety with sampling. I prefer electricians to take the samples because they know how to take a sample under voltage, means when the transformer is in operation. Otherwise, we need too many people. And always go as a team of 2. And of course, the samplers must know and must decide where sampling in operation possible and where not. And they take the decision because it's their life. Nobody else can decide. Okay. Then after sampling, check whether the sample is safely closed. The sample must be put in a safety box for transportation. Clean the site from waste that comes from sampling. If possible, take a picture from the site and the transformer, because that gives a good picture, let me say, finally when they come back to the office. So analysis, the best is always GC, gas chromatographic with electron capture detector or with a mass spectrometer. It's the best, it takes the most time, and it's the most expensive one, of course. Then we have a so-called indicative test that is both Dechlorination L2000. Meanwhile, there's a new model, and we have the chlor and oil. The difference is one is a device. The Dechlorination L2000 is a device. What is more specific, and the chlor and oil is more a test kit that you can use on site. Then we have the Beilstein test that is not really good. That is only an emergency case. That means you take a copper wire, you put the copper wire in the oil, You take it out and you enlighten it with a lighter. And if the flame is green, then we have chloride. And the worst is for me the density test, because that is very often people talk about density test. You take a glass of water and you take a sample, you put the sample in the water and you can see how the sample goes down. But that only works with SCRL. But SCRL, we don't need to sample. Yeah. If this is oil, the oil stays on top of the water. It stays on top of the water whether it has PCB or not. So it's no indication of PCB. Yeah. So that's a gas chromatography with the auto sampler on the left side. That is the L2000. Meanwhile, it is a new model, which is smaller and better. That is a chlorine oil you see on the right-hand side, whereas no color means it's PCB above 50 ppm. And the blue to violet is less than 50 ppm. So check the transformers from Buchholz is a good hint, because oil-filled transformers are usually don't have a Buchholz relay. Buchholz relay is some equipment that is used in power plants, in substations, or in the private industry, because a Buchholz relay will give the electrician an alarm if there is something wrong with the transformer. Check the nameplate for the liquids. Okay, if there is it's not readable or the nameplate is missing, that happens as well. Yeah, look for tiny leakages and make a ribbon test. You will see that later on. And check the total liquid ratio. So that is a Buchholz relay you see in the middle.
Yes, next slide.
Yeah.
Mr. Textile, next slide.
Sorry.
That's the,
Oh,
okay.
sorry.
So that was the color, yes, of the chlorine oil test.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
Michael, please inform me, like, if you are
Oh,
moving
sorry.
to the-
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, we go to the next slide with the Buchholz relay. Okay. The Buchholz relay is in the center. That is the expansion box. And from there, it goes down. You see small device. That's the Buchholz relay that says if there is a leakage in the transformer, the oil from the expansion box goes through the Buchholz relay. And when no oil is coming, there is an alarm, electrical alarm going to the electrician. Says, hey, there's something wrong with the transformer. If you have some problem inside the transformer and you have the formulation of gas, ethene or whatever, yeah, the gas will always go up. And then it goes through the Buchholz relay, and the Buchholz relay will give an alarm and maybe even shut off the transformer, because if the transformer fails, maybe the equipment behind fails, and that is more expensive. Okay, the next slide, nameplate. You can see here, that's always a problem when you take inside a room, you take a picture of a nameplate, that the flash will reflect on the metal plate. But you can see the lower one, you see the black label, you can read SCRL. That means here we have 60% PCB. The next slide. Another like nameplate information you go through, you will find as well oil. In this case is a French transformer, it means oil. Okay, the next slide. As well, nameplate information again. And sometimes you can see as well that they have put, and that is just, now it's difficult to say. You see total weight, and then they have liquid weight. And some manufacturers, they used as well 2 blocks where they inserted the weight of the liquid. And one was oil liquid and the other one was chlorine liquid. And then they stamped it on. Yeah. And then you can see, okay, it's oil or it's SCRL. Again, nameplate information, you see how dirty sometimes they look like. Okay, we go down to nameplate capacitor one. And here you can see as an example on the right-hand side, Fribourg, Condis, and so on, impregnation IPM, IPB, non-PCB. So you are happy. This one is free of PCB. You can give it to a scrap dealer or you can reuse it again or whatever. Next slide. Asia Lepper it's a Swedish company, by the way, but the nameplate here is German because it was manufactured in Germany. And here we go to the left side and you go down the last but one, you see Drängstoff. That means impregnation. Yeah. CPC. And that stands for SCRL. Yeah. You can see that on the left-hand side, second but one, and last but one, Drängstoff CPC, Clophane. Next slide. It's a ballast capacitor from a lightning system. It's hardly to see, but it means here 3CD. 3CD is PCB, is SCRL. So you know where you get an idea where you have to look for the PCB. Next slide. That's a ribbon test. If you have a leakage like that, then try to find some stick or whatever or paper and you put it in. It looks like oil or like water, something like that, but it is SCRL. An SCRL that comes out, the trichlorobenzene will disappear and will kill the ozone layer. The same with a low chlorinated SCRL PCBs, they go as well up to the ozone layer. But what is remaining is more sticky. It's like honey, like a chewing gum or something like that. And you put some ribbon in and you see the ribbon will stay for time. Yeah, that's a good hint. That is SCRL. Next slide. Weight ratio. The same transformer, one is filled with SCRL, the other one with oil. So the empty weight of the transformer is 3 tons, 3,000 kilo. The volume is 1,000 liter. If you fill the transformer with SCRL, 1,000 liter SCRL is 1.6 tons. 1,000 liter of oil is 870 kilo. So the weight is 1,600, 800. So we add total weight, empty weight plus liquid weight. In case of SCRL, we have 4,600 kilo. In case of oil transformer, we have 3,870 kilo. Now you divide total weight by liquid weight. The factor, the ratio is 2.8 in case of SCRL, and it's 4 in case of oil. And that is absolutely good hint whether you have an SCRL transformer or oil transformer. It only goes for SCRL transformer, not for oil transformers with PCB cross combination. That does not work. Okay, the next slide, please. That is a power transformer.
Mikhail, 1 minute,
Yeah.
because you have sent it by part, so I have to open for the next presentation.
Okay. You tell me when I can go ahead. I'm really sorry that doesn't work like that. We have it?
Yeah, power
Okay.
transformer. Right.
That is a power transformer, by the way, is a substation in Lebanon. This transformer is PCB free, definitely. Too big for PCB. That is what we have seen already, auxiliary transformer. Capacitor, on the left-hand side, you see the ring, capacitor banks. You have the capacitor banks, please. The next one. Next one. Here you see on the left side is a ring. By the way, that is a capacitor as well. It's a tri-type capacitor. No problem. But in front, you see the capacitor banks, and on the left, on the right hand, in the back as well, these are capacitors that are capacitor banks. And here we have to look for PCB as well. So the next one, please. Next slide. You see here again, capacitor bank. And I checked these capacitors, and always capacitors, be very, very carefully. Even the capacitors are not, as the capacitor bank is switched off, there's still capacity. That means you can only touch capacitors if they are shortcut. So that means to make sure to other people that they are safe, you combine the two bushings with a wire, because then there is no charge anymore. So the next one, please. That is how a scrapyard looks like. Radiators from power transformers. Yeah. The next one, please. Again, capacitors in a scrapyard, a substation. PCB, by the way. The next one, please. Oil, power transformer, oil transformer, but PCB free. The next one. Okay, what do we need in Palestine? And I think that is an application what Richard already told us and before. Laws, regulation, guidelines for sure. Awareness rising, especially with the authorities, owners, and the transportation. We need a comprehensive inventory with all equipment and everything that may contain PCB. In the beginning point, we usually concentrate on transformers and capacitors. The semi-open and open application is a little bit difficult. We need a temporary storage for PCB, and of course, including emergency equipment. We need a management system for PCB at these temporary storage and owner sites. We need a reporting system, and we need solution for disposal. Okay, take the next one, please. That is temporary storage in a substation, capacitors with PCB again. And that is a temporary storage in Lima, in Peru, what I was providing the people over there. You see, we have a metal tray where everything is in. The transformers are empty. You can see the drums where the liquid is in. On the pallet on the right-hand side, the white is adsorbent material. In case of any spillage, we can use these vermiculite or anhydride or something like that to put it on the liquid so it will be adsorbed. Next slide, please. Label the site and of course limit the access to the site. Next slide. Very important. Next slide, please. The key sentence of the Stockholm Convention. Disposed of in such a way that the persistent organic pollutant content is destroyed or irreversibly transformed. So that means some temporary storage is not disposal. To drop it down somewhere is not disposal. Disposal means destroy. And we come to that later on. Okay, next slide. Disposal by combustion. So we have two options. It's high temperature incineration. That are most of these solutions. And of course, they must have a license. And we have the possibility of co-incineration at cement kilns. Limited to PCB content, and of course, the technology of the cement kiln must fit. Yeah. If you put, usually they go up to maximum 1,000 ppm like that. So the next slide, please. That is like a combustion technology that is in Basel, in Switzerland. A very, very, very good hazardous waste incinerator. Investment of maybe $200 million, maybe even more. I think that's not viable for Palestine. The next one, please, is the list of disposal by non-combustion technology. The first one is very often mentioned, plasma arc technology. The disadvantage is the capacity is small, the price is high, and it's not everywhere possible. And then we have all the others. I will not discuss in detail anymore. So, and the next one, please, is a fine one. That is now the dechlorination technology. And that is something I think that is good, would be good for Palestine once we know how much PCB contaminated oil we have in Palestine. That's a dechlorination technology. As an example, sodium technology, maybe you have heard. That means you take sodium in a special matrix and you put that into the oil. Yeah, of course, not inside the transformer, but you pump the oil through these modules with the sodium, and sodium sees, of course, the chlorine, says, hey, let's marry. So the sodium steals the chlorine from the biphenyls. And once the biphenyls are naked, no more chlorine, they are not any more toxic. So, of course, you go for more sodium than chlorine. So the sodium that is left over, they see as well the water in the oil. And they say, oh, let's make sodium hydroxide. And sodium hydroxide again sees the acidity of the oil and neutralizes it. And so finally, what comes out is a very good oil. Unfortunately, it's a little bit dark. That is something that is viable for Palestine. Always, not only Palestine, that helps always. We have to consider this technology I like very much, really very much, because we recover the oil. Yeah, we can use the oil again for transformers. And we have only to decide whether it is economically viable to have an investment, because such a technology is about $600,000–800,000. Or if the quantity is not high enough, we can go for, let me say, rental. We make a tender where we say, okay, we ask the providers of these such dechlorination technologies to make a proposal for coming to the country, coming to Palestine, and take the oil, dechlorinate the oil, and then clean your equipment, go back home. Yeah. Okay, so far, that is what I wanted to show you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mikhail, for your wonderful presentation. And it was really very informative. From A to Z you have covered. So thank you so much. So if you have, like, if from audience, if there is any question, I will request to have a quick chat. So because, yeah. Yeah, Kinda, please go ahead. Kinda Kwada, please go ahead.
It's Diab Kada, not Kinda Kada.
Sorry.
It's Kinda. It's my sister, my daughter name, by the way.
Because
So
I have seen from the screen, it's like Kinda Kada.
Are you sure? Okay, so then I looked there in the wrong name. So it's my daughter. Anyway, Diab Kada, faculty member at Birzeit University. First, it's a question to the Palestinian, let's say, officials from the agriculture ministry or whatever. I don't know who was there. As a professor at the University of Birzeit, we are not, let's say, well informed, or we don't have much information about the statistical, let's say, studies about how much do we have PCB waste and in Palestine. This is one thing. Is it from industrial, let's say, resources, or what is the source of PCB in Palestine? Another thing is from a toxicological point of view. I have a graduate student who's doing a master thesis on heavy metal concentration in commercial fish species in the local market in Ramallah city. And we were interested to do the same study in fish for PCBs. But unfortunately, we looked here and there and we couldn't find any lab that could help us in doing the analysis in GCMS or anything. Even at PZ, we don't have the capabilities of doing PCB analysis in such samples. From my experience in Belgium, I did my graduate studies in Belgium and in the United States. I did my PhD project in such a contaminants. We measured PCBs in 8 fish species in Lake Michigan. We measured the 209 congeners. But when I came here back to Palestine to apply what I have learned there, we don't have enough equipment. We don't have even the extraction. I asked the center at PZ, said, nobody, we don't know anyone in Palestine who is capable of doing analysis like this. Anybody can help us. Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah, Mikhail.
There's something wrong.
Yeah. I think what would be really good is to talk with the Kuwait Center. So maybe people from Kuwait Center, you might jump in, because of course the Kuwait Center can analyze fishes and the Kuwait Center can analyze PCB. So maybe on the third day we will have a session on analysis of POPs. So Professor Kada, yeah, maybe you might also join day 3, and then you can discuss about the option.
Yeah, hold on, stop. Please let me interfere with the analysis, first of all. Is one thing, when we talk, and it's in a linkage between your first question and the second. The quantity of peace in Palestine. Well, actually, if we concentrate on what all countries did on transformers and capacitors, mainly on transformers. Capacitors, usually we don't need analysis because we look at the nameplates and we try to figure out whether it contains PCB or not. You may even send me a picture if you're not sure about whether PCB is in or not. I can help you with the identification by the nameplate. With the transformers, it's simply like that, that we have the major stakeholder with the PCB is, of course, the utility sector. The utility sector means power generation, power transmission, power distribution. Power generation, I have no idea how much you have in Palestine. Same with all the others. The majority of transformers, oil transformers, are definitely in the power distribution. They have 90% of transformers in all countries worldwide, more or less. 5%, 8% maybe are with the industries, and 2% are with power generation, power transmission. Yeah. That is now for me a little bit difficult because I have no idea of what we have in industry in Palestine. Yeah, I was never in Palestine. Unfortunately, I was very often seeing Palestine on the right-hand side when I drove from Amman to Aqaba. I was 16 times in Jordan, and we had a very, very good PCB project over there, maybe one of the best worldwide. And always looking to the right, Palestine. But I have no idea what you have in Palestine, cement factory, steel factory, and so on. I have no idea. But that is where we can find as well as somehow. The other things are, of course, a little bit more difficult. If we look at the distribution sector, that means we have as well diesel generators, something like that. Yeah. And so, just a minute. And it is difficult to say. I have no idea what is the infrastructure. And that's the reason why you may go to you have a Ministry of Electricity and Electricity and Energy or something like that. You can get the information from there. It's nicht.
Well, thank you. My question was to the Palestinian officials who are listening. And my question about the statistics and the amount was to the Palestinian officials who are attending this workshop. And I really appreciate your answer. And concerning the Kuwait Center for Analysis, it's I know I lived in Europe for 6 years. It's very easy to say that because you can go from Germany to any country you want without any problem. But here I cannot take my samples to Jordan. Just from Ramallah to Jordan, I cannot take them.
Yeah. No, and that is now the next thing, of course, because when we talk about the oil, let me say, the distribution transformers, and that is now the quantity. We have the equipment that is called the Dechlorination L2000, and this equipment costs about maybe $4,000, something like that. And you need a chemical set that maybe is about $15 per set. So you have to multiply. And that is something you can easily do. What this indicative test does, you take 5 milliliter oil in a tube, and then you measure, you just transfer by 3 reactions the organic chlorine into inorganic chloride ions in a water phase. And finally, you measure the conductivity of the water phase. And then your equipment will calculate now the conductivity is showing so many PCB. Yeah. Of course, we have a false positive as well. That means maybe it shows you 80 ppm. Then you should go again to the GC and check it again, and the GC says 40 ppm. That is possible because sulfur is influencing that as well. But that is what Dex, I will not tell you. I do not know why. And from my point of view, that is, of course, something that goes quite easy. With the GC, of course, we have what Roland says already. We have the Kuwaiti. Maybe it's possible to send it over there to Kuwait. Yeah, samples maybe by truck or something.
Excuse me, Dr. Michael, and all. Excuse me, if you allow me, because we are just 1 hour or almost 1 hour after the agenda. So, and there is also there is 2 presentations should be presented there today, and if we can just stop right here and to continue for the next agenda in order to be finished as much as we can.
Okay. Yes, just one question.
In Arabic,
can we summarize? Let me say summarize the questions and send the questions to me by email, and I will answer the questions by email to you.
Yeah, I think you will be with us tomorrow and after that, so that if anyone having questions and want to some answers about this, you can raise these questions tomorrow or after tomorrow.
One last point, if the presenter could share with us their slides as a PDF and their contact information, I would be very grateful.
Yeah. Yes,
Sure.
Yes, you can
Sure,
do
we
it.
will share. Yeah, sure. We will share the presentation to Yasser and the videos as well. So you can avail from Yasser Abu Shanab.
Yes, sir.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
think. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I am listening.
إذا بتسمح لي يا ياسر بس نص دقيقة أجاوب الدكتور بير زيت بس إذا بتسمح لي.
دكتور عاطف احنا معنا
دقيقة واحدة يا ياسر.
وقت ساعة. خليك تقدر تواصل، بعطيك ايميل وبعطيك ايميل تتواصل انت وياه او رقم تليفون، معي ايميل وبعطيك اياه، ببعث لك اياه عاطف. انا متاسف جدا ولكن احنا في ناس عندهم التزامات اخرى. انا متاسف جدا.
بس سؤال على السريع لمايكل.
بالموضوع بس.
Dr. Michael, just one question, if you please. It will be very fast. Related to the transformer, you know, in the climate change now, we go to the alternative, using the sun. We use it, the transformer in Palestine. We didn't have just one power plant in Gaza. We didn't have power plant in Palestine, especially one in Gaza. It uses gas. This is my question related to the transformer that we use it in the sunlight. The same ideas, the same oil, use it inside it or not?
Come again, please.
So can you, Bilal, can you just put your question in the chat box so then easy to means you can make the interaction easily through the chat box.
Okay.